So today we talk about Samadhi, and it is not such an easy subject. When we are talking about pranayam, then I can say, okay, stop breathing for a while, and so you can do that and you can experience it, and we can talk about that experience. And this way it is more concrete. Or we can talk about asana, and I can show how to sit in a particular posture and everybody can try it. So this is different. When I talk about anger, then I think everybody has some experience. But in case of Samadhi, few people have the experience. So that makes it more difficult. Samadhi means a very deep state of meditation in which you are no longer conscious about yourself in the sense of your ego. You have no more name, you have no more relationships, you have no more jobs, you have no more yesterday and no more tomorrow. All that is gone. So you are entirely merged in the subconscious mind. Your conscious mind has stopped. And this is a very particular state which one can say is a central objective in yoga. And actually not only in yoga, but in all spiritual traditions, you will find something which could be called samadhi or trance, absorption. So it is a very mystical thing, a very mysterious state of mind, and to talk about it is actually quite useless. Now, of course, that is true for most things, right? I mean, why talk about love if you don't feel it? And if you feel it, what's the use to talk about it? Why talk about the truth if you don't understand it? And if you don't understand it, then maybe you better shut up. Right? So, same way here in Samadhi. It's not much use to talk about it if you don't have the experience. And once you've had the experience, then definitely you will not feel like talking about it. That is quite unnatural to talk about it, because you know that whatever you say about it somehow makes it less. Because Samadhi is entirely beyond words. Samadhi is in a place where there is no language, where there are no more concepts. So, very difficult there to talk about. But still, we can talk about it, and it makes a little bit sense. For the simple reason that you're anyhow going to think about it. Whenever you're going to meditate in a little bit more serious fashion, you're going to start having certain experiences that are maybe the start of Samadhi, or maybe more than that. And then at least afterwards you're going to think about it. Hopefully not while you are in Samadhi, because then you will drop out. But afterwards you will think about it, and since it is a very mysterious thing, it can be relatively confusing, and you may think maybe you had some experience there and you need to work with it, while that may be not the case at all. No? Maybe it's just better to forget about it. So in that way there are some things that I can explain which can be helpful, but which should be, after today, largely forgotten. You should not think too much anymore about this class after today. Whenever this information becomes valuable to you, then it will come back out of your subconscious mind, and you will be able to use that information. You will maybe not remember it coming from this class, but somehow the answer then will come to you, and so that's the use or the purpose of this class. But if you are too much thinking about this class while trying to meditate, then this is definitely going to be very negative. Samadhi is not something that can be done Samadhi is not something which requires a particular technique. So it is something which happens. And the only thing that actually has to be done is to let it happen. But if you are waiting for it, because you have some idea about it from this class, then it will not happen. It has to happen like a little bit by accident. So in that way, most of it should be forgotten. Until then, it becomes maybe useful at some time. So this class, more than ever, it is advisable to just listen with an open mind, an egoless kind of listening, not too much interpreting it, not too much even thinking about it, just absorbing the information and forgetting about it. And especially any questions about have I already experienced samadhi or something like that are quite irrelevant questions. The experience itself is not really what matters, it is the result of it, and that result will be always clear. There will be no doubt about it. How we get there, what really happens there, nobody can really say, and it is also quite different, I think, from one person to another. And for the same person, even from one samadhi to another, there can be really big differences. So, this is very personal. But certainly, samadhi is like the core of yoga technique. It's the central focus point, and a lot of things in yoga actually aim at achieving samadhi. And this is very clear also in the 8 limbs or steps of Ashtanga Yoga, where you start with yama and niyama, things that you do or don't do in your life. You start with asana, developing a comfortable posture. You start with pranayam, reducing your breath. You start with pratyahar, going more inside, purifying the senses. And then you go into dharan, the concentration exercise, which then leads you to dhyana, when this concentration, this focus actually becomes stable. And then you just have to wait until the last step comes, which is samadhi. And to call samadhi the last step is not entirely correct, because after you come out of your samadhi, again you start with life. So again there is yama and niyama. And the main impact of your samadhi will be in yama and niyama. If quite naturally you become non-violent and honest and all these things which are described there, then you will know that your meditation has made some change, some transformation inside of you, which makes you respond differently, which makes you react differently, which makes you think and feel differently, and that will express itself in yama and niyama. So it's a continuous circular movement actually through these steps, which always brings you further. And the main thing that happens in samadhi is the removal of blockages that are there in your subconscious mind. Stored deep inside, things from this life, things from past lives, which really make you as you are today. We have a feeling usually that whatever we think or say or do is something we do consciously. But once you a little bit observe yourself, you will find that this is not true. Most of your thoughts, they come to you. You have no control over them. And from thoughts very easily come talks and actions. So also those you have a little bit more control, of course, but also there your subconscious mind will continuously feed you with impulses, subconscious impulses, which leads then to relatively conscious thoughts and actions and all that. So there are many blockages there, many desires, fears, old anger, whatever, old things that need to be cleaned out. And that is the only true evolution that as a human being you can make. If you are doing, let's say, pranayama, calming down the breath, then definitely afterwards you will feel a lot more calm. But half an hour later, this calmness may already be gone. This is very fleeting effect. And the same with meditation. If it doesn't take you as far as samadhi, then there will be some effect. This impact may last a bit longer even than with pranayama. But after a relatively short time, again it will go. Whatever insight you have in the whole universe and the self and all these things, at one moment may be gone the next moment. So, all those things are actually not very relevant, except that they lead you up to the point where you can become sufficiently quiet to dive into your subconscious mind and there start removing certain things which stop you from being who you want to be. Everybody who is in yoga has some idea about how they want to be and has understood that it's not so easy to be who you want to be, to do what you want to do, to say what you want to say and to think what you want to think. All the time we are like having a little quarrel with ourselves. So to stop this quarrel, which is basically a quarrel between our conscious mind and our subconscious mind, we have to remove some blockages there. And that is what happens in samadhi. Not only in samadhi, but the most rapidly, the most basically, and the most thoroughly it can happen in samadhi. Part of it also just happens in life. Certain experiences that you have in life, certain things that you do in life, certain fears that you overcome in your life, for example, also can remove these blockages. So, this is why samadhi is really very important, and generally speaking, in yoga and in spirituality, what attracts many people also are all these mystical powers. No? Mystical powers of mind reading or whatever flying around. Well, also these we can say that they are all directly related to samadhi. It is only in samadhi that things like this can be learned or quite naturally developed by themselves. So also if you are more interested in that side of the story, then samadhi is really important. And to reach the end point of yoga, which is supposed to be named enlightenment, also samadhi is, you could say, a requirement. Even if it is not such a consciously reached samadhi as it is described by Patanjali in Ashtanga Yoga, even if it is something which maybe just happens without much technique being used, just because the person is ready for it, then still that person will go into a state, a mystical state, a state of complete absorption, where things will happen. And the result will be a more spiritual, holy person, or however you call it, which astonishes people around him or her by the way he behaves and the things he can do. So, in that way, samadhi is very, very essential. However, I don't really want to frustrate you with this talk, because it's a little bit like frustrating to hear about something like that. Yes, it can be frustrating. So let me just say, don't be frustrated. It is there for everybody, and everybody can reach it. It's actually not all that difficult. But okay, it requires some effort. It requires some effort, and it most of all also requires time. Effort definitely is not the only thing that matters. A certain level of peace must already be there, and you cannot blame yourself for a lack of peace. This is something which you are learning, and at some point it will come, and it will be there sufficiently for you to let go and to really go into this very deep meditation state. So don't be frustrated whether you are deciding to meditate for 15 minutes or for 15 days or for 15 weeks, it does not matter. We are all on the same path, and ultimately there is no escape from this path, and whatever step you can take in the right direction is good. So just accept that and relax and enjoy the moment, and that's the best way to actually get anywhere. Any stress, any frustration, any dissatisfaction with yourself in this game just stops you from moving forward just 1 millimeter. So don't. So this is a little bit introduction, and now I try to explain a little bit more what Samadhi really is and how it comes about. Patanjali explains quite clearly in his famous Yoga Sutras that dharana, dhyana and samadhi are actually one process. Dharana means that you are focusing on just one thing. Maybe this is a mantra, or maybe this is something else. This does not really matter. But only one thing is there in dharana. All kinds of meditation which involve different things, a sequence of different things like maybe the chakras or whichever, many mantras or something, they are coming before dharana. They are actually more belonging to pratyahara. But so in dharana you were focused only on one thing. But this is not really in the beginning working. And when I say in the beginning, I mean this is very much true, of course, if it's the first time that you are trying it, that instead of just thinking A, which is the idea, that you will be thinking A, B, C, A, B, D, C, and this is how it will go. And even for somebody with more experience in meditation, this may still come. Mind requires a little moment to calm down. Anyhow, it takes quite a while, I think, before you can just sit down and say Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Nothing comes in between. This is not such an easy thing to achieve. But to achieve it after a little moment, after some time, going from dharana to dhyana, where only A is there, or the mantra is there, or the object is there, this is not so difficult. This requires a little bit of willpower. You have to want to do this. Otherwise, of course, how can it work? But it is just something you do. But truly, in that state, there is not only the mantra, because you are also still there. So it is actually I, A. You are continuously aware that you are focusing on this object, so you are making this effort and you are aware of it, and you are also a little bit like watching whether it is going well or not. And so when it is not going very well, when some other thought comes in between, you intervene and you again bring yourself to this object, but truly you are still there. So this is the phase of dhyana. And then at some moment, this I, which is meditating, disappears. You are no longer aware that you are doing that. It just happens. The mantra will continue by itself, and you are not putting any more effort into it. This is when samadhi starts. So, the reason for this is actually that this I, this ego, which relates to your life, is just a concept. It is just an idea, and to it are attached many other ideas, like your job and relationship and your age and your history and your plans for the future and all these things. And at the center there is the idea, I. So if for a long time all these concepts are no longer thought about. Because all you are thinking about is, for example, Om Namah Shivaya, then suddenly this one person in the middle of all these ideas no longer can continue to exist and disappears. So this is what happens. And this is basically how Patanjali describes it. Although I must say that some other scriptures have a little bit other definitions of these phases. And so you might read about it and get a little confused. But it's easy to understand if you see that Patanjali is describing these states at the moment where they begin. So he says dharana starts with trying to focus on something. Dhyana starts with this when his focus is really stable. And samadhi starts when the one who tries to focus no longer is there and the focus just is there. So this is one way to see it, but you can also see it in a different way. You can also say, dhyana, meditation, only starts when that person disappears. So this is the end point of dhyana, is the beginning of samadhi. So in that way a little confusion is there, but I believe the way Patanjali describes it is most easy to understand, especially when one understands that this disappearing of individual consciousness is just the beginning of a quite long process, which is called samadhi. So this is the beginning, and then the end of samadhi also has a name called moksha or enlightenment. So this is the most easy way, I think, to understand. Now, this trance actually exists also in different ways. And in scripture it is described as tamasic samadhi, rajasic samadhi, and sattvic samadhi. For example, a person who is extremely drunk also no longer remembers who he is. You ask his name and you say, oh, I don't know. Do you have a car? Oh, I don't know. This is also some kind of samadhi called tamasic samadhi. So let's say quite stupid samadhi. And also, in fact, some scriptures will say deep sleep is a kind of tamasic samadhi. And of course, many other drug-induced states are tamasic samadhi, and also a coma is a tamasic samadhi. Right? So, and then you have the rajasic samadhi, which is quite well known in, let's say, mystical circles, where people go in a trance, dancing to music or something, or by loudly repeating some mantra or doing some other thing, maybe causing a lot of pain to themselves or some things like that. So this is a very rajasic samadhi. Also there is a temporary disappearance of the conscious mind and merging with the subconscious mind. The only difference is that there is no shanta. There is no inner peace at that moment. There is actually a lot of thing going on, and this may help, for example, even to have some clairvoyance, to develop some powers, to merge in the subconscious mind. But this is not the same thing as yogic samadhi, which is a samadhi in which peace is the central objective and the central state of mind. And so this brings results which are very, very different. So temporarily in samadhi you are without ego. But of course this is not yet enlightenment. Enlightenment means to be without ego indefinitely. So samadhi is a little taste of enlightenment. And truly that is what it is. For a while you have a similar experience as a person who is enlightened. But then at some point, whatever remains of your ego in your subconscious mind will again take away this experience and bring you back to this world. and you will have change, but not completely. So then more work is required afterwards. Samadhi actually has 3 parts. Sam means together, means everything together. Dhi means to know or to see, to witness. Like in dhyana also, there also we have it. And A points to endlessness. So samadhi means that everything comes together in an endless way. Everything is known as one. Everything becomes one together in an endless way. So the state of samadhi does include a little bit of time. And definitely the experience of timelessness is a good indicator of it. It's very typical that a person who comes out of samadhi believes that he has been meditating only for a short time. Maybe he thinks only 10 minutes he was sitting there. But when he looks at the clock, he finds, oh, it was 3 hours. This is very typical. In this state, really, time stops. Because thought stops. You may have experienced, certainly, that if you're having a lot of fun, then time moves very quickly. And if you're very bored and not having a good time, then time moves very slowly. This is because when you are not having a good time, you are more thinking. So then more time is created, in a way, subjectively for you. And if you are having a good time, then you're not thinking so much. And then time goes very fast. So in samadhi, you're having such a good time and you're thinking not at all. So time moves very fast. 10 minutes pass in your mind. Actually 3 hours have gone in real time. So then this becomes like a regular hobby, you need maybe to put an alarm clock if you have some other obligations also. No? So. And this samadhi, which means everything becomes one, is often explained as the witness, the witnessing, and that which is witnessed become one. So truly there is still a witness. There is still something being witnessed, which is then the mantra or whatever object of meditation there is. And so this witnessing also is still going on. But there is no longer any experience between these 3. You are becoming the mantra. You are becoming the repetition of the mantra or the chanting of the mantra inside of you. You are one with it. And you are no longer identified with your life and all these things. So another way to say it, that is the subject and the object merging. You are merging into your object. You are diving into the mantra. You are completely disappearing into this mantra. This is what samadhi is. And this is also called the 4th state of consciousness. There is the waking state, there is the dream state, there is the state of deep sleep, and then there is samadhi, the 4th state. There are 4 ways consciousness can be, and so this is really seen as a different thing. And it definitely is different from the dream state and from deep sleep state. Because in deep sleep, you are not conscious. From your deep sleep, you are not remembering anything at all. While from samadhi, you will have memory afterwards. Some of those experiences you will remember. So this is a very different thing. And it is also different from the dream state because it is very calm and because it is not so visual. Visuals can come, but it is not visual like a dream. I will explain a little bit further. Yet another way to explain it is to say that in yoga and meditation, first we are doing a lot of effort to bring the energy upwards to the sixth chakra. That requires some work. And then once we reach sixth chakra, then we still have to go from 6 to 7 chakra. And that is Samadhi. That happens in Samadhi. As I said, some things in life also certainly may have an impact there, but that is basically what happens in Samadhi. And this is quite a long path. Actually quite a lot longer than the path from the first to the sixth chakra, which can be learned quite quickly. If a person sets his mind to it, very easily he can get there. But then to clean up from here to there, to bring the energy really there, that can take a very long time, and for most people it takes many lifetimes. So don't be in a hurry. Don't worry, it'll just happen bit by bit. And I like always the comparison to a house where people have lots of stuff, and some of the stuff they can't handle, and they put it in the cellar. Instead of really getting rid of it and recycling it properly, they just throw it in the cellar. And so there's lots of junk in our cellar, and that's what we are doing. A lot of things that we can't handle in our life, we just push it back in our subconscious mind and try to forget about it, and it will still affect us. We will certainly not be rid of it. The smell from the cellar will still be in our house now and then. You will smell it, but you have the feeling you got rid of it. So Samadhi is where you start cleaning out this cellar. And as I said, there can be a lot of junk there, so just take some time to clean it out. And you might actually also find very beautiful things in that cellar, some old things which are really dear to you and you forgot about it, and you will also find them. So it's not only like unpleasant things you will find in your subconscious mind. There's a lot of nice memories there. There's a lot of desires there, loves, attachments, things there which, you can just remove after a while. So this describes a little bit better what is Samadhi. And then of course the question is how to do it.